Hi gang, my name is Nate, and this will be my first tutorial that I've ever made on any subject at all. So, bear with me, but I think it's a good one. For those of you who have been struggling with circle breathing, either with the didgeridoo or any other wind instrument, the trumpet, the trombone, the saxophone, so on and so forth, circle breathing can actually help you in many ways to not only master your instrument, but stand out from others. Now, circle breathing is a technique used where you make one constant sound without stopping. And that's not to say you just take one big breath in and blow out for a really long time, 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on your lung capacity. No. If you master it, you can do it for over an hour without stopping. The first person to really do this was Kenny G on his saxophone. He did something like 45 or 47 minutes back in, I believe, 1997. And then someone else a couple years later broke that record by just a couple seconds or a couple minutes. The record remains, though, I think within the upper 40-minute range. But all that aside, to stand out and to be the best at a didgeridoo is what I am learning to play, or with any wind instrument, which I played back when I was younger, you really need to know what circle breathing is. And I hope that tonight I can teach you how to do just that. So first I'll show you what circle breathing is, and I'll make it really dramatic and really exaggerated so you can see when I'm doing it and hear when I'm doing it. And then from there I will demonstrate, hopefully further, how to do that, how to do just the one or two minor adjustments in your breathing and lips and cheeks that you have to do to get circle breathing, or to do circle breathing. So here's what circle breathing is. Again, it's when you breathe in, but you're blowing out at the same time. And I'll show you how that's all done in just a minute. So you will have noticed that I breathed in, I made it dramatic so you could hear it, and exaggerated so you could hear it, but at the same time I was still blowing out, I was still making noise, I was still going, and to do that, it's actually a really easy technique. It's just getting your brain to make those adjustments to do it, which is really, really easy. So here's a bit of a backstory. Right now, it is just past midnight on July 23rd, and at the end of May, in fact, just shy of 2 months to the date, I was in Australia and New Zealand for an Honor Society leadership program. And while I was there, obviously, the didgeridoo being indigenous to Australia, they were everywhere. They were at every tourist stop, every tourist shop, every corner of Sydney, Australia where I was at. There was somebody playing a didgeridoo. And I really, really wanted to buy one, but I thought, gosh, do I really want to spend that kind of money on it? It typically ranged between a couple $100 to a couple $1,000. And I knew nothing about tone or or keys, quality, tone, nothing. I knew none of that. You know, I thought, well, I don't want to make this investment if I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Much like when I was younger, put the saxophone. Had I not looked into what the tenor and the alto and the soprano saxophones were, I wouldn't have known what to do. But I came back home and I thought, boy, that's just one thing I want to learn to do. I just want to learn to play the the didgeridoo. It's just a cool sound. There's no keys, but it's very, very technical. It's very tough to learn because you can make different sounds and different notes and different tones, but all you have is this. You've got a tube. Now this I bought from laoutback.com just a few weeks after coming home. It's just a cheap synthetic. I think it's probably just PVC, melted together or some odd thing. It cost me $58. And I thought, well, I'll buy that to see if that's what I want to learn to do, if that's something I want to take on as a future endeavor. The hardest thing to learn about playing the didgeridoo is the circle breathing, which is what I just demonstrated now, which is that, essentially what you're doing into here. And I'll get into that further in a minute. And I nailed circle breathing within 5 or 10 minutes. There are a million different things you can do to learn circle breathing. You can blow on your hand and have a continuous flow of air on your hand. You can blow into a straw, into a glass of water, have a continuous flow of bubbles. But both of those proved to be just massive wastes of energy for me. I had to have the didgeridoo to do it and just get it in my head. Once I got the didge, I got it in 5 minutes. And it's supposed to be the hardest thing to learn of all parts of the didgeridoo, and I got it right away. So let's begin. I know that, like I said, you can use this with wind instruments, and that's true. I mean, this is a wind instrument. However, I'm also going to speak about the didgeridoo, since that's what I'm playing with, and that's kind of what I know, even though I have played saxophone in the past. So, the didgeridoo just has an open hole. This is the mouthpiece here. Your lips go actually inside, not on the outside, but the inside. And this is the bell end, where the sound comes out of. This does not have a reed. It does not have keyholes. It doesn't have anything that a wind instrument has, like a flute or a saxophone. There's no reeds, no mouthpieces. It's very basic. With the didgeridoo, unlike other instruments, you need to have loose lips when you breathe out. So you do kind of like horse lips. That's how you play the didge. And if you play the trumpet or the trombone, the tuba, you have tight lips, so it goes like this. But with the didge, it's always. And let me show you what the difference is between the two. Here's the loose didgeridoo lips. Now here's what I do if I try to trumpet the didgeridoo. I'm not great at this because it's not made to be trumpeted into, but I'll try it. Very tight lips, doesn't sound right. Loose lips. So loose lips didgeridoo. Tight lips to trumpet. So now on to circle breathing. What is circle breathing? First and foremost, it's essentially blowing out your cheeks while you breathe in at the same time. It sounds complicated, and without seeing it done or without doing it yourself by accident even one time, it might very well be hard. And like I said, I did the whole blowing on the hand, blowing into a straw, into a glass of water. Those were a waste of time for me. Others have mastered circle breathing by that. Great. In fact, I encourage you to look at those techniques on YouTube. They're available. They're there. But for me, it was just a matter of getting this cheap didgeridoo and just doing it. And I got it in 5 minutes. It was so much easier because when I had a straw, it was always kind of halfway in my mouth. And I was concentrating on that being in my mouth, kind of getting in the way of my tongue and my cheek movement. It didn't seem natural. But when I had the didgeridoo, I could just go from this to this. So you'll see, I know it's hard to see, but it's just flat cheeks doing nothing, to blown up cheeks. I could go from this to this very easily. because the pressure was up against my lips and not hiding somewhere in the middle of my mouth or the back of my mouth near my throat. And let me show you what that means. So sorry. You'll notice that when I put my finger up, side note, I've got a family member sleeping right now, so I'm gonna kind of keep it down a little bit. And so I'm not blowing as hard as I can. Anyway, but like I said, I can go from this flat cheeks to blown out cheeks because the pressure is on my lips to just go. If you try to do that with a straw, because you can't make any seal at all on your lips, it all just kind of falls out. Even if you're doing it correctly, it just falls out. And the same for blowing on your hand. I'll try to show what it looks like, so you can see the light on my cheeks. I'll try to keep that lined up right. And even still today, I can do it fine on the Didge, but I still can't do it on my hand very well. So again, I'll try to exaggerate my breathing in so you can see when I blow out my cheeks when I breathe in. So and now while you can't see or hear all of what's going on, I had a constant flow of breath into my hand. So I would go tight cheeks, and when I blew my cheeks out wide, see how I breathed in? I was still blowing out because I had the air in my cheeks, and I was slowly flexing my cheeks like you flex your muscle, flex it slow, 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 and then pop, slow, 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 pop. With your cheeks, do that as well. So. And that circle breathing. Again, it's hard to see, hard to hear, but when I take those big breaths in my nose, I'm blowing out slightly through the hole in my mouth. Now let me show you what that sounds like on a Didge. This is no breath, this is no breathing into the Didge. I'm not going, this is just out of my cheeks and that's it. So it lasts about 1 second, but in that 1 second, you can breathe in a full lung capacity. So watch my cheeks and see how fast I breathe in. And so you can literally make just a 1 second sound into your instrument, didgeridoo, saxophone, or otherwise, and breathe in at that same time. Doesn't seem like a long time, and it's really not. And that's what it takes to master it. You have to learn how much time you have to breathe in with how much air you have in your cheeks to breathe out with. And that's where the balance comes in at. And really, that's all it is. You just have to learn to go. And that's circle breathing. That's all it is. It's just blowing out your cheeks while you breathe in. Then blow out with your lungs. At the end of your lungs capacities, blow those cheeks up, Breathe in. And that whole time, I was breathing outward. You just have to learn to tell your brain that at the end of your breath, the air goes into your cheeks and not out your lips. Not. That's just regular breathing. You have to train your brain to send those last few bits of air into your cheeks to blow out your cheeks and breathe in while you're blowing out with your cheeks. And if you can do this, studies have shown recently that it can help with snoring, it can help with sleep apnea, it can increase your lung capacity so you can get longer and longer breaths or routines or longer stretches of sound making, because your lungs will become healthier, stronger, more able to take in more oxygen, be able to breathe better. It really is a training lesson for your lungs. And you can do quite a bit with that after learning this. Your running time might improve. Your athletics might improve. And that, this doesn't make you more of an athlete, but it increases your lungs' ability to breathe and to work as a system with the rest of your body. You're really training your lungs to do something that it really normally doesn't do. So for one more time, I'm going to show you. I'll make it exaggerated again, where you breathe in hard, I'll breathe in hard rather with my nose, blow my cheeks out. And I'll try to indicate with my finger if I can, the best I can. Again, I'm just learning this as well. I've been playing the Didge for only 2 months, but with a full-time job, getting back into school and all that sort of stuff. I don't play this as much as I should. Rather, as much as I want to. So I'm still learning too, but I seem to have got it, or mastered it. I use that word loosely. Quite well though, very comfortably. And I wanted to show you that you can do it too, even as an amateur. So, without blowing out the rest of my house, again, I've got family sleeping, it's after midnight now. I'll try to do it again. So again, you breathe in when your cheeks are full, and you only blow out of your cheeks. You don't breathe out through your throat while your cheeks are expanded, because you can't. You can't breathe in and out at the same time. Practice that. Just do that 1,000,000 times if you have to. Get used to the feeling. You don't even have to do it twice in a row. Just do that. When I began to learn how to juggle, I just used 2 balls, because I was always doing, the weird sort of, slap one in the other hand and throw one up in the air. No, you have to throw both up in the air at the same time. And so I practiced with 2 until I got those arcs correct. After I got those 2 arcs correct, I threw in the 3rd ball, and now I can juggle no problem. I can do it with my eyes closed with no ball because it feels the same. I've learned how to do it just fine, and to do it very well. I get the motion down. And hopefully you can do the same thing with circular breathing. So just do this. If you don't get anything else out of this whole lesson, just do this. No air in the lungs. Get used to that sensation, that feeling. And then go to no air in the lungs. Do it without your fingers pushing your cheeks in. And then try doing it twice in a row. Forget the straws in water. Forget blowing under your hand. If you can do that, you got it. Get yourself your instrument, your saxophone, your trombone, your trumpet, whatever it is you have. Your didge. If you got a didgeridoo, you got points in my book. And then just try it. So first I'll take a breath in so I can play a nice full sound. And when I need to breathe again, look through the cheeks. And did you see how fast that was? I didn't take a long time breathing in. It was just because I don't have much time in my cheeks. That's the longest time I have in my cheeks. Give or take about a second. So it's something that happens quickly, and you need to get it down quickly as well to master it. But really, it's not that hard if you just train your brain to send that last few bits of air into your cheeks and breathe in, and then do. It really becomes pretty easy. I mean, I got this down in quite literally 5 or 10 minutes. And it is said to be the hardest thing to master on any wind instrument aside from, learning to play it. The circular breathing. So give it a shot. Let me know how you do. I'd love to see some videos from you guys to see if it helped you at all. This has kind of been a long and pedantic training video, I suppose. But for some people it's really tough, and for others it's really easy. For me it was easy. Now I just need to train myself to go longer and longer and longer and longer. I can do about a minute or two if I'm in a zone, which isn't bad, but it's not impressive. I mean, it's no world record, which is almost 50 minutes long. And I'm sure there are masters out there who could probably do it for hours and hours and hours, but just haven't contacted Guinness, to have their record put in the books. But give it a shot and tell me how you do. And I hope this helps. Have a good night.